Hi members, this is Yasuku Dare coming to present the certificate course assignments on Introduction to Software Project Management. Thank you. Let us start with understanding what is a project. A project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service or result, or a set of actions undertaken within a defined time period in order to meet a specific set of goals or objectives within the budget. As we have listened, that a project is a temporary. It's not something that is permanent. It's just temporary. So within a specific time period, it has a purpose, it has a goal, and all those things. As the definition has explained everything there. What are the characteristics of a project? It means a project must have a duration, a project must have resources, it must usually be non-retrieval. It means that within the fixed limits. Then let us understand what is a task, so that we can differentiate between the task and the project. A task is just a small piece of work meant to accomplish a straightforward goal. But for a project, is a temporary undertaking of an activity with a goal that is within a specific time, with a budget and all those things. But a task is not as much like that. It's just a small piece, but project is bigger and takes some duration. Then let us understand what it is. What is this term called project stakeholders? A project stakeholder is individuals or organizations that are actively involved in a project or may be affected by the project either directly or indirectly in the process of running the project or in the due course of the project. So now, who are these stakeholders? These stakeholders can be the project managers, they can be the customer, they can be the project team, the sponsor. All these constitutes the stakeholders of the project. Then let us understand something about the project scope and software project types. What is a project scope? Project scope is what needs to be achieved and the work that must be done to deliver the project. So now, what are the factors that leads to the project failure? Let us understand some of those things. The first one is when a development team fails to understand the customer needs or requirements. That one obviously will lead to project failure. Then you poor defined project scope. This is where now that the project team fails to define a proper scope, what they will be doing, and if they fail to understand what they will be doing, it means the project will obviously fail. Then changes in technology. This one affects projects like after you have invested in a certain technology, but you realize that the technology can't work, you need to select another technology, and yet you have already spent resources there, you have already invested money there. That one will obviously lead to a project failure. Then let's take unrealistic deadlines. Like now, you assume you give a duration to the customer or to the sponsor or to the responsible people that you will be able to complete the project within this, and yet in reality it's not possible. It's an unrealistic deadline. Then inexperienced teams, like in your project, if you have inexperienced teams who are not yet familiar with the system, who are not familiar with the requirements, who are not familiar with with the objectives of the project, obviously the project will fail. Then poor project management. This one is entirely from the side of the project manager, where project manager fails to play his role properly. Then now, what are these W5HS principle for project scope? This W5HH principles try to explain to us they try to explain to us what we shall be doing. Okay, they ask us some specific questions. After answering these questions, you realize that you'll be done with project, the entire project. Like, why is the software being developed? This one will talk about the purpose of the project or the purpose of the software. As specifically, this course is about software development, software project development. It means you will have to, okay, I'm going to measure a thing related to software. Then what will be done? Then in the process of developing the software, what are you go what will be done? Then when will it be done? That one comes to the duration. Who is responsible for a function? This one talks about the responsible people, like the team members, the project manager, the sponsor. Those are the responsible people. Where are the organization located? The market, the customer. Where is the customer located? The organization here is meaning now the customer. Then how will the job be done technically and managerially? Like now, where the specific areas of technical efforts, where will it be done? Where is the okay, let's say, like, where is the office setup where the teams will be meeting, discussing, directing, and doing everything, each and everything? How much resource is needed for this? You need to take that one into serious consideration. Then now, let's talk of types of software projects. Software projects has two types. First one is the product or generic software. These ones are called packaged software because they are pre-written softwares which are available for purchase. It means that the product or generic softwares are pre-written. So a customer or a user can purchase them and just develop them from there. They are not from scratch. They are available, you buy and develop. They have two different markets. First one is called horizontal market softwares, meant for needs of many companies. It means this one, horizontal market softwares are common softwares which fulfills the needs of many companies. But vertical market softwares are specifically designed for a particular industry, like these specialized industries that have complicated things. They use vertical market software design, since that one is only specifically designed for them. The second type of software is what is called service or custom software. These softwares are developed at user's request. It means you will start to develop them from scratch and developed with the user's interest, with what the user wants, how the user wants it to be. That is under service or custom software, as you start it from scratch up to the end. Let us discuss something about software products and services in relation to software project management. Software services is an umbrella term including software customization, software maintenance, software testing, contract programmers who carry out coding. All these are under software services. Then let's talk about project management activities and life cycle. The first one is planning, which involves estimation of time, resource allocation, and scheduling. This is very important in project management, because in project management, failure to plan is planning to fail. So the first thing you have to do in project management life activity and this life cycle is planning. Then staffing. This involves recruiting and motivating personnel. This one is responsible for the project manager now to select, recruit teams that have the required knowledge and the motivation and all that. Then directing is ensuring the teams act as a while. This one is still a role of project manager to ensure that the teams act well, they act within the boundary. Then monitoring and controlling. This one is where now you detect plan development and take corrective actions. Then let's talk about major responsibilities of a project manager. In software development, what's the role of a project manager? The role of a project manager is to do first of feasibility study, to analyze, is this project worthy? Is this project feasibly worthy? Is this project resourcely worthy? Does this project have the necessary things? And how shall the project be managed? All that is under feasibility study. Then the second role is to plan. The project manager have to plan for the project, how the project will run, for how long will it run, what are the necessary things will the project need, how will the project be implemented. Then project execution. It means now that after now planning, you have to make sure that the project gets started. That is the role of a project manager, to make sure that the project execution is to its fastest point, and that is vivid. Then let us discuss something about project life cycle. Project life cycle includes now identifying the needs of the project. You have to identify the needs of a project, what the project needs, and after identifying the needs, then you have to initiate the project. It means you have to start the project. Then after starting the project, you have to plan the project, then execute the plans, then control the project. After now reaching the control of the project, then the last step is to close out the project. Then let's talk about major project management schedules. There are two project management schedules. First one is called off-the-shelf project management, which are in control. This one stands in a controlled environment using an acronym called PRINCE for it. It means off-the-shelf project management must be developed in a controlled environment for specific reasons. Then the PRINCE means starting the project, initiating the project, directing the project, controlling the project, managing the project, managing the product delivery, planning, then managing the stage boundaries. All these are under the acronym PRINCE. That will help to do that. Then now the second one is in-house project management standard. Then software life cycle. Let's discuss something about software life cycle. Software life cycle has this one. First one is called intuitive software life cycle, which has conceptualized specified design code. In the intuitive software life cycle, you have to do capitalization, you have to specify the design, you have to code, test, deliver, maintain, and retire the code. Then from there, let us move to the models of software life cycle, specifically to waterfall model. In waterfall model, the waterfall, as we know, it is an waterfall model, as we all know, that this is an iterative process. It means after closing the first step, no going back. You have to move forward. Then in waterfall model, it has feasibility study, then it has requirement analysis and specification, it has design. Then after designing, you have to do code and unit test. After doing the unit test, you have to integrate and system testing. This is now where you have to integrate the system to the legacy system such that it works. After doing that, you have to be able to maintain the system. Then issues with the waterfall model. These are the challenges with the waterfall model. The first challenge is it is difficult in accommodating new changes. which usually force developers to request a new development. Waterfall, since it is an iterative process, after completing the first one, it will always close the second from scratch. You start 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 from scratch. Then high cost incurred in developing custom applications. Developing a project, a software starting from scratch is so costly, and moving with a specific area. That is what waterfall carries. It is so costly. Then heavyweight processes. Moving with the waterfall, you have to be consistent, specific, to make sure that after completing a specific area, you don't go back. Then V model. This V model is a variant of waterfall model. It just emphasizes verification and validation. It means that this one is also an iterative. You can't go back. Then let's talk of incremental model. Incremental model is where it gives you a chance that after completing a specific area, if new changes are right, you are able to go back. Incremental model has been developed to solve the challenges of waterfall model. So let us understand it more by understand the characteristics. It is built systems. It is built using it is built on incremental. It means you draft. After drafting, you show the draft to the user. The user sees, makes changes. You still come back, update, and go back. Then with a number of iterations, there's a good number of iterations. Then each iteration produces a working program. Then what are the benefits of incremental model? It facilitates and manages changes effectively. That's the basic and the most important benefit of incremental. Users are able to make changes and is able to accommodate them. That's why it was made to solve the challenges of waterfall. Then incremental model of iteration. The first increment is the core functionality. In the first incrementation, you have to define the core functionalities of the system, what the system will do, what the user, and core thing related to the system have to be defined there. Then success increment is where now you add or fix functionalities. This is where now if some things were not complete in the core functionality, you are able to bring them on board, fix them, and make any changes to it. Then lastly is the called final increment, the complete product. This one is where now you to complete the product. This is where all the changes, everything related to the project has been accommodated. And this is measured at the end of the project. My presentation on about software models. Then the remaining slides are the certificates I got from different projects. So thank you for listening.